treasure in the hands of eager bookworms was stacked in the car park of the Charlestown Public Library. It's a clearance sale of discarded library books, 50,000 books and 20,000 magazines. Although the sale was due to begin at 9 a.m, long queues forced the doors open half an hour early, and equally long queues soon formed at the cash register. The sale has been organised by the Warners Bay Leos Club. 20 members spent 600 man-hours sorting, price tagging and packing the cheap books. The Leos are splitting the profits from the sale with the library. Their half will be used to carpet and furnish the new community hall at Warners Bay and for other charity work. The book sale continues tomorrow, and the Leos say there are still a few gems hidden in some yet-to-be-opened boxes. This was the scene 2 weeks ago. A picket outside the Pelican Bowling Club by 3 bar staff sacked because of their refusal to accept a new roster. Yesterday, the New South Wales Industrial Court issued a second order to the club to reinstate the men. The club, which is in deep financial trouble, says it cannot afford to employ the bar staff if they will not work the new roster. At a meeting of the board and 60 club members this morning, it was decided to fight the industrial order in the Supreme Court. It was also decided that the bar will stay shut and the club and greens will be available for members only. An attempt to run the bar with volunteers was abandoned when the industrial court threatened the club with a $4,000 a day fine for doing so. Organisers have little to complain about at the show. It may be a bit hot for some tastes, but the crowds are big and seem to be enjoying the fun of the fair. Not surprisingly, this afternoon, cold drinks, snow cones and ice creams were popular because of the heat, but no one was really complaining. In this heat, it would be easy to forget that this Newcastle show is saluting the youth of the hunter. In the Hall of Industry, the International Youth Year theme was seen in several displays, and these troubadours were doing their best to remind people. The song and dance act is part of the build-up to tonight's Cavalcade of Youth in the centre ring. The cavalcade will feature ethnic dances, a 400-voice youth choir, marching bands, a youth orchestra, and a motorised parade of the hunter's young achievers in sports, the arts and community activities.
In several areas around Newcastle, Neighbourhood Watch has already been operating for some 15 months, although without the signs which will now be distributed. There are already indications that the students is cutting the time.
We are seeing now, over the last few months in Hamilton South area in particular, quite a marked reduction in the crime of break and enter.
And do you hope that you can extend the scheme to other areas in Newcastle?
Well, we would hope so. Together with the Divisional Anti-Theft Team, Neighbourhood Watch appears to be the answer to the crime of break and enter.
Basically, you're simply asking people to be good neighbours, aren't you?
Yes, we're getting back to what people used to do 30 years ago, look out for not only themselves, but of course their friends and neighbours on either side and in the street.
special interest groups, individuals, government entities and Tomago Aluminium itself were received yesterday for the hearing into the controversial proposal. The smelter at Tomago needs to find a disposal site for fluoride and cyanide waste within 6 months, and if it's not enough, it may be forced to store it out in the open, which is also allowed under the state pollution legislation. The opponents are worried that the clay is not impermeable, and the cyanide and fluorides may filter through into the water table and perhaps find their way to the oyster leases at Port Stephens or the water supply at Grahamstown Dam. Tomago Aluminium denies these claims, saying that the cells will not leak. Environment Manager at Tomago, Mr. Graham Torres.
Well, we've considered all the opposition that's been provided by people opposed to the project, and we've carried out detailed environmental and technical investigations on the proposal, and we're certain now that what we have proposed is technically and environmentally a very good project and won't result in contamination of either surface waters or groundwaters at the Wallaroo site.
Now, the smelter has a life of about 50 years, but the waste will remain toxic for a lot longer than that. What guarantee can you give that the site will be monitored in perpetuity?
We've proposed initially a proposal for $3 per tonne of waste that's transported to the disposal site. That fund will accumulate over the life of the smelter, and while Tomago continues to maintain ownership of the smelter, it will use its own funds to ensure the correct operation, maintenance and monitoring of the project. Once Tomago ceases to exist, that fund would then become available for insurance purposes or maintenance of monitoring or maintenance of the site itself. So I think it's adequately covered in the long term.
How confident are you that the public
Just before the run gets underway, we decided to track down Central Coast entrant Peter Peronis. He's blind, but he'll be out there with his guide going as strong as anyone. Peter lives at Saratoga, and today it was his wife Margaret and his 17-month-old daughter Mia guiding him along his final workout before the event. Peter, who lost his sight 8 years ago in an industrial accident, has genuine feelings about running for the cancer.
Feel even better about it?
Well, I think it's a great thing to run for something like that. And I've got a little girl, and you know, it's the most precious thing in our life. So you know, I could imagine what it'd be like for anybody else.
Peter, what are your thoughts going into the telethon marathon?
Well, it's a good cause. I don't really do too much for other people, and it's something to do for somebody else.
It's been said that you either love Basil Hadley's work or you hate it. There are no grey areas with this artist. He calls these his wallscapes, and understandably so, with lots of tongue-in-cheek graffiti, but after the initial impact of his tints wears off, you notice the diversity of his techniques. A number of Newcastle artists came to see Hadley's work at the opening of the exhibition last night at the First Impression Gallery. Hadley, who lives in South Australia, has built up quite a following with his brash approach to art, and there's no doubt he will have picked up some more fans in Newcastle.
At 8:30 this morning, the Shire President, Councillor John Musgrave, read the message of encouragement to the runners from the patron of the cancer field, the Premier Mr. Ram.
Hundreds of runners taking part in the fight against record. Their efforts bringing the whole Hunter region in a human chain of runners, symbolising the great distance that can be covered if we all join together with a common goal. This same approach is fundamental to society's battle against cancer.
I'm going for getting behind this team that they've got. I wish the team all the best. Vicky's starting the run, which is lovely for us girls here to see her.
First runner away was 14-year-old Vicky Hawkins, who was encouraged on her way by the Olympians waiting for her. There are 5 runners in the team running in relay fashion 40 kilometres away to Scone, where they are expected around midday. They in turn will hand the badges containing the cancer appeal message to a new team, which will set off on the 65 kilometres to Merriwar, arriving there this evening. There are 5 individual routes to be followed from the extremity of the viewing area, Taree, Gloucester, Gosford and Wyong, as well as the Upper Hunter. The final runners on each route are due to converge on the International Sports Centre in Newcastle at the culmination of the Telethon Fun Day on Sunday. We'll have another Telethon Marathon report for you this afternoon. The team made good time in the overcast and breezy conditions, passing the baton over back to New England. The police and a courtesy bus were on hand all the way to ensure a safe 40-kilometre journey from Murrurundi. All team members were patting the bitumen as the baton was brought into Scone proper itself ahead of schedule around midnight. They were welcomed by groups of school children, Townsburg and the local bus. Shire President Councillor John Torres
Ladies and gentlemen, message from the Honourable NKRN QC MP, Premier of New South Wales, for the NBN Telethon Marathon. Despite the great advances made in modern medicine, a cure for all forms of cancer is the biggest killer. In New South Wales alone, cancer is about
to take off on the Scone to Merriwar there with the marathon was called forward.
Down the street up there, trying to catch
the home of the thoroughbred.
You're going to be a lead runner to start the marathon from Scone. Congratulations. Away you go.
The team would be in Merriwar before the scheduled 6 o'clock. There are 5 routes altogether in the Telethon Marathon. Taree, Gloucester, Gosford, Wyong, as well as the Upper Hunter. Runners on the final leg of each of these will converge on the International Sports Centre on Sunday afternoon.
It'll be on its way on the first leg of her journey from Scone to...
Three towns in the Golden West, Mudgee, Wellington and Dubbo, have banded together to come to Newcastle to tell everyone here what the area has to offer. Lures like Mudgee Wine, the Wellington Caves, the Old Dubbo Jail and the Western Plains Zoo are just some of what you will see if you venture west. They say that many people don't realise what the area has, and they want people to think inland for their next holiday. Publicity Officer in the Western Plains Zoo, Marie George.
There certainly is a barrier, and the fact that we are inland is something that I think Newcastle people tend to think that because we're over the mountains it's a long way away, whereas 3 hours drive can put most people in Mudgee, another hour and they can be in Dubbo. So really it's an ideal distance for weekend trips and that type of thing.
The scroll message from the Cancer Appeal patron, Premier Ram, was read by John Harvey, former Manly Rugby League international, who will be playing with Foster.
Despite the great advances,
the ceremony took place in Tuncurry Park on the northern side of the bridge. John Harvey handed the baton to the first runner in the 5-man relay team, which will carry the telethon spirit over the 65 kilometres to Bulladina. All the runners had to qualify in selection runs in February. Those who reached the required standard went into the barrel, from which 5 names were drawn out. On their journey, they're under the protection of a fully equipped backup team aboard a budget high-ace escort bus. After crossing the bridge and running through the Foster Shopping Centre, the joggers were out on the coastal and then lakeside route through Pacific Farm and then on to Bulladina, where they're expected at 3:30. 2 important telephone numbers to remember if you wish to make a donation are Foster area code 546027 or the area coordinator Bob King on 540274. The numbers again 546027 or 540274 in the Foster area only. There is another run on this morning, that which got underway from Merriwar at 9 o'clock, bound for Denman, where a new team will take pictures of that run in this afternoon's Marathon Report.
And rolling stoppages in key areas determined by the executive and awarded by a central council.
Members in the area, only 132 were at this meeting at the Newcastle Workers
Would you
Club, and
draw the meeting's attention to the fact that these procedures respect to the motion?
Called for the state government to reverse its decision on the superannuation scheme and propose industrial action, including the Monday strike. A few members made heated accusations that debate on the resolution was being stifled, but the vote went ahead anyway and was passed 85 to 25. The second resolution was also passed overwhelmingly, approving a fund to pay the wages of striking members. The university meeting also passed both resolutions. The Public Service Association is striking because it believes the new situation by the government will, in effect, reduce the payouts received by each member.
Well, the government's new proposal on superannuation has some major flaws in it. One of the most important ones as far as individuals are concerned is that there will be no future widow's pension, no future orphan's pension, no future health breakdown pension. In addition to that, finally, it is only a lump sum payment on termination of service, not a continuing pension.
No punches were pulled at the presentation of the 1983-84 annual report, which was held in the nursing home. In front of a high-powered guest list, which included the Secretary of the Department of Health, Mr. David Richards, the Chairman of the Royal, Mr. Graham Mullane, criticised the hospital's lack of funding. He said the Royal has made many cuts to its services, becoming on budget over the last 4 years. But instead of being rewarded, the hospital has been penalised. Mr. Mullane said the Department of Health did not fulfil several promises of funds. This financial year, he warned, the Royal would be between $500,000 and $800,000 over budget. The hospital's chief executive officer, Mr. Currow, then took the microphone and issued this warning.
We would have great difficulty in maintaining even our somewhat reduced standards of care at this stage if our present workload is to continue and we are to come in within budget.
The Health Department Secretary, Mr. Richmond, then spoke, saying he accepted many of the criticisms of the department and called for a more positive approach to the problem. He said the future of the Hunters hospitals lay in a more coordinated approach to
came along today
and funding
thinking,
applications.
what would I talk about?